Join us for an action-packed episode of Locked On Fantasy Baseball, where we review the 2023 season for the Kansas City Royals.
You are Locked On Fantasy Baseball, your daily fantasy baseball podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, fantasy baseball fanatics, and welcome to the Locked On Fantasy Baseball podcast, brought to you by the Locked On Sports Network, your team every day. As always, we're your number one source of fantasy baseball knowledge, and thank you for making us your first listen each and every day. I'm your host, Dominic Martino. You can find me on Twitter at DomMartinoFB. Here, as always, with my brother, my co-host, my partner in crime, Matthew Ane, and you can find him on Twitter at Matthew_Ane. If you're listening on a platform like Apple or Spotify that allows 5-star ratings and reviews, guess what? We have an amazing opportunity for you if you want to do that for us. If you do leave us a 5-star rating and review, just take a screenshot of it. Send it to us at fantasymds@gmail.com. You could also DM us on Twitter or Instagram with that as well. Still counts, and you get a chance to join our listener league for next year. Also, if you're watching on YouTube and you haven't already, hit that little bell below. It subscribes you to the channel, and it gives you a notification every time we drop a new episode. And guys, you know what? We're keeping things pushing here with the team reviews. We are moving on to the Kansas City Royals. Actually, the second worst team in all of baseball, surprisingly. Just a big down year for Kansas City. Kind of sucks to see. Matt and I had high hopes for them. But Matt, there is one man, the myth, the legend that carried this team throughout the year, and it's one of your boys, brother. So take it away.
Yeah, buddy. That's Bobby Witt Jr. God, it feels so nice to have him. Like, fantasy owners were just celebrating. Honestly, also probably pooped in their big boy pants if you had him in the beginning of the year, because it was a slow start. We were all screaming sophomore slump. Oh no. But then he decided to turn it on and turn it up. And Bobby Witt finished with one hell of a year. 97 runs, 30 bombs, 96 rips, 49 stolen bases, and batted .276. He brought that batting average up from like a .220. Did you know that, Dom?
Yeah, no, I know. Yeah, him and Julio had like a horrible year. Horrible year.
Miserable, but then finally turned it up. Bobby Witt in a few years with no setbacks could possibly get close to what Acuna did this year. In all honesty, I think Bobby Witt has 40-40 upside. We clearly see here, we clearly could see that he has the 40 stolen bases. He did 49. Like, Bobby Witt is just going to be turned loose. The beautiful part is, with how bad this team played, he still ended up with almost 100 runs and 100 rips. Can you imagine if Salvador Perez, MJ Melendez, and Vinny Pasquantino were all, firing on all cylinders? What his final stats could have been? He could have been going for, MVP run, because it could have been so good. So Bobby Witt's upside is like a boom. And I know we did like a first round review of where we're picking him, and I said, I don't know if I'm picking him in the first round. I think after the end of his season, I think there's no way you don't draft him in the first round now.
He's a top 5 pick, to be honest.
It's damn near close. The only problem with that is, for me, he's losing third base eligibility. He's now just a shortstop, which kind of kills the value for me a little bit. And at that point, it's more of filling. Now it's kind of, okay, yes, he's a 5 category guy, but at the same time, then you got to look at, okay, position scarcity. So like, I may pick like a Jose Ramirez with third base eligibility over Bobby, just based off of that, even though the upside is nowhere near it at that point. But that's just me on Bobby Witt, and kind of just essentially how would I construct the team. But I also would not blame you for just going for, best player in the draft.
Yeah, see, Matt, you kind of went where I was going to go with that statement. There's not really too much to talk about with Bobby Witt. You covered him very well, but I do just want to say, usually the first maybe 3 rounds, I would say, in a fantasy baseball draft, I'm usually going best player available. That's usually my tactic. And I mean, I did win 3 championships this year, not to pat myself on the back, but my 3 biggest leagues, I did take them down. Matt came in second in a couple of those. Shout out to my brother number 2 over there. If you watch Austin Powers, call Matt number 2 now. But yeah, I just kind of like to
between the
go.
lines, bro.
I kind of just like to go best player available, and then I always feel comfortable enough just building my team off of that. If you have Matt and I's rankings going into next year, you're gonna feel way more than comfortable of doing that kind of strategy because Matt and I's rankings, if you had him this year, you probably did pretty well. We got a lot of DMs this last couple of days, about multiple people who won championships based off our advice, and you know what, their own stuff as well, because it takes more than just a Matt and I to help you win a fantasy baseball championship. You got to know what you're doing as well. But with Bobby Witt, yeah, first round pick next year, hands down. I know I went on a little tangent there. 49 steals, 30 home runs. The guy's got 40, 50 upside, 40, 60 upside. I think he's going to grow into that power. He's already at 6'1", 200 pounds. I know he's put on a little bit of weight over the last year. He's been in that weight room. Sky's the limit. Sky's the limit. I wouldn't be, if you told me Bobby Witt Jr. is the first pick for 2025, I would not be shocked. But let's keep things moving here. We kind of went on and on about Bobby Witt for a long time. And on this next guy, I know he's going to get a couple of minutes from us as well. Let's talk about Vinny Pasquantino, the Italian breakfast, the best nickname in baseball, a man who I think is going to come back even stronger and even better next year. 6'4", 245 mountain of a man is Vinny P. And it sucks. His season got cut short, torn labrum, missed the 99% of the year. He only played 61 games. He had 231 at-bats. He had 24 runs, 17 doubles, 9 homers, 26 RBIs, and he hit 247. He was just never rock steady at all this season. He didn't get to, shake off the rust and really get into a groove this year. But last year, Vinny P in 72 games, he had 258 at-bats, 25 runs, 10 doubles, 10 homers, 26 RBIs, 35 walks to 34 strikeouts, and he hit 295. He has a very, very good minor league track record. That is Vinny P. I have him next year probably too low at not about just right. I have him as the number 11 first baseman. I just have full confidence that this kid comes back and just plays very, very well. I do want to see him in spring training. I do want to see how much rust is there from not playing baseball. But I just firm believer in Vinny P. Going to be hitting third next year in that lineup. Very, very stellar young player.
You're not going to get him in a league that you're in with me, I guess, because I have him at 8.
That sucks.
Yeah, I mean it's a crapshoot for me with the person I have right below him. That's I have him right over Christian Walker, so it's tough.
Walker, 6.
Yeah, and I have him
at
I had him at 9, but we can go. We'll go over him when we go over.
Yeah, we're going to do a debate show at some point.
But it's one of those things where I'm very high on Vinny P. Obviously, I was this year going in. And it explains why he had such a terrible start to the season. Is probably because it was probably already torn and he was trying to play through it. And, do the Trevor Rogers thing not Trevor Rogers, the Jack Flaherty thing where you just play through injuries. But, it is what it is. But, yeah, Vinny P is going to be phenomenal next year. But let's keep this thing moving. And before we do, and I move on to my next guy, I do have somebody I have to talk about. Get ready for the NFL season with incredible offers from FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $200 in bonus bets guaranteed. Plus, all customers who bet $5 will get $100 off the NFL Sunday ticket brought to you by YouTube and YouTube TV. Now is the best time to join FanDuel. The app is super easy to use. You can bet on everything from spread to player props and much more. So visit FanDuel.com/lockedon and kick off the NFL season with an offer you don't want to miss. FanDuel, official sports partner of the NFL. All right. Now, let's talk about somebody that I'm going to throw a whole bunch of shade. I got the Haterade cup out for, and I'm going to get a lot of flack for. But it's Salvador Perez. So here's the thing. Salvador Perez had a mega 2021, right? He has always been solid with the power number coming out of the catcher position. And honestly, ribbies too, but runs never really did it for you. And I feel like he's just returned to the mean. I don't think he's elite. I don't think that he is somebody that you're going to put above anybody else anymore. I feel like we were chasing it. The argument last year was, we were only a year removed from probably his career year where he had 48 home runs. I think now Salvador Perez going into his age 34 season is now going to just be washed. I feel like the power you see dipping, he's at let's put it this way, 17, 18, and 21 were awesome seasons at 27, 27, 48. Now it's at 23, 23 in terms of home runs. Okay. That power is declining. He's getting older. So the way I'm looking at it is my guy is on a decline, which tells me that I'm pretty much going to avoid him at all costs in terms of that, unless I'm getting him at a value. If I get him where I have him ranked, which is at like catcher 10, then I'll take him. But I'm not touching him in any draft where anybody is drafting him at like 5, 6 catcher. It's not for me. It's not for you. And I'm going to say avoid him at all costs. I think Salvador Perez is going to be an outright bust for what you're going to have to pay for him next year.
Yeah, so I don't know if I'm full in sync with everything there. Matt, I know you started your catcher rankings. I don't know if you finished them, but where did Salvador Perez wind up on that list?
At 10.
All right, so I guess we're not crazy far off. I have Perez at 7. You could probably talk me into about 3 or 4 guys, that I have below him. So maybe we do wind up a little bit closer than not.
Actually, it's going to be 11 now that I'm looking at it.
Yeah, that's what now that I'm digging deeper too, I kind of see where you're coming from with a lot of this stuff. But I still think if the Royals get better, I think that there's the upside. He's a career 267 hitter over his career. That's, 1,400 games and almost 5,300 at bats. So I think the batting average could come up to that, 265 range. The home runs, as you said, he's not going to hit 48 ever again. But, if he hits 25, that's reasonable. The RBIs and the runs, the RBIs are great out of the catcher position this year. He had 80. Honestly, he was I want to see where he finished on Yahoo as far as catchers go, because I think there still is a little bit of upside here. Yeah, of course, he's not going to be the number 1 catcher anymore. But you know what? If he does slip down draft boards and, you decide to wait for catcher for one of your last picks, honestly, Salvador Perez is not a horrible pick. I think there still is that baseline of where he's, just a good catcher, where the counting stats are going to be good, where, the batting average could be good, the power could be decent. Perez finished this year 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 as the 7th catcher overall. So even in a down year where he hit 252 and, just wasn't his normal self, he hit 255. The numbers still look decent for your catcher. So I think you could still draft him as, a later catcher if you don't want to pay up for the Adleys or the Will Smiths of the world, which honestly probably isn't always the best idea to do anyway with catcher. But let's keep things moving here. Let's move on to somebody who will no longer be catcher eligible, and it's MJ Melendez. So this is where it gets really tricky, right? Because Melendez, a lot of his value came from him being catcher eligible, but he kind of picked things up, if I remember correctly, in the second half. I'm going to try and pull that up for you guys, because he's got power. He's got a little bit of even speed for a guy that was a former catcher. This year, he played, he had 533 at-bats, 65 runs, 16 homers, 56 RBIs, 6 steals, and a 235 batting average. I think Melendez has a lot of power that hasn't been tapped into yet. Honestly, he's still only 24. He's going to be 25 next year. I don't know where he's truly going to land at outfield for me, because I don't think I have him ranked in my outfielders yet. I've done about 45 outfielders, and I don't think his name has not made the list yet. So it looks like he'll be lower than 45 in my book. So for the second half, he was actually worse in the second half. Damn, I guess I have my memory backwards there. I thought he was better in the second half, so he was more of a first half play. Actually, don't like to see that, because then, the league adjusted to him, and he really didn't adjust back. Just kind of a tough situation here with Melendez. Go ahead, brother.
I think you're looking at the wrong stats, my guy. Because
was I?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. See, no, I did have it right. I was looking at
You
home
did.
and away. See, actually, okay. My memory did not serve me incorrectly here. Matt, thank you for that. I appreciate that. Yeah, so he was a lot better in the second half, and that's originally what I thought. It was 64 games in the second half for Melendez, 227 at-bats, 31 runs, 12 doubles, 3 triples, 10 homers, 25 RBIs, 2 steals, and this is what you love to see, that 273 batting average. So there is hope. There is upside for Melendez. Honestly, probably a dart throw at the end of drafts when it comes to, this season. I don't really think you're going to have to pay a crazy price. But once again, I just want to let you guys know the hype around Melendez. That 2021 minor league season, 124 games, 448 at-bats, 95 runs, 22 doubles, 3 triples, 41 homers, 103 RBIs, 3 steals, and a 288 batting average. That's the upside. That's like a ceiling best season for Melendez. But there is something better in there. Maybe he's going to get a little bit more used to outfield next year, and that bat is going to turn around.
Yeah, I mean, so here's the thing about him, right? He's pretty much like the streakiest player in baseball. So, like, when he gets hot and he stays hot for a little bit. Usually it's like for a month. This year it carried over for 2, which was nice. So maybe next year we can get 3. Maybe we can just build this thing up until we get to a full season. Who knows? But, August and September were phenomenal. He had a 280 batting average and a 261 batting average. Both months he had 4 home runs. Ribbies and runs were really not desirable. Well, yeah, I mean the runs were decent, but the ribbies were like 12 and 9. Like those are decent, but for the month, he's not really blowing me away. Honestly, he's not going to be a top 50 outfielder. Catcher was the only cheat code for me. Even this year going into the season, I didn't even have him ranked in my top 50 at outfielder. He was a catcher because he had the cheat code of where he could play every single day, where catchers normally don't. They get a couple of breaks just to protect those knees. So MJ Melendez just pretty much had a cheat code. Now that he's outfield only, there's zero fantasy value for me until he proves that he could keep that streak going and stay hot. And then if Kansas City's producing as a team, then he could be super valuable. His upside is the ceiling is incredible, but the problem is the kid just can't put it together. So until he does, I'm not touching him with a 10-foot pole. So anyway, let's move on. We're going to talk about Mr. God, I'm going to butcher this. Michael Garcia.
Michael Garcia. You were
Okay.
close enough, though. That's not far off.
Yeah, my phonetic reading levels. Like I said, guys, my reading level is about a 3. About 3rd grade. So anyway, Garcia here was interesting. Let's put it that way, to say the least. 464 at bats, 59 runs, 20 doubles, 4 triples, 4 home runs, 50 ribs, 23 stolen bases, batted 272. And he didn't bat a 272 cleanly because 38 to 115 strikeouts. So he is a new age baseball player, a batting average guy where he just got the job done by, getting the bat to the ball. Whereas he just isn't it. Now, in all honesty, I really don't know too much about his career, but I look back at his stats, and give it off a glance of, hey, who is this kid, right? Well, he has no power. He has really no real upside except for stolen base, and he could put together a nice batting average season. He hasn't really had a batting average except for his first 2 years in the minors in 17 and 18, under 280, and then last year he had 242. So in the bigs for that short little stint. So Garcia is going to be pretty much a stolen base guy. That's really all he's going to be, and some batting average with third and short eligibility. Again, he's going to be nice throughout the season as a guy that you're going to add and probably drop. We're nowhere going to be drafting this kid, I think, in any league except maybe like an NFBC league. He'd be like a nice corner player or flex play. Other than that, I'm not really touching that kid with a 10-foot pole and, standard 12 man, with, no corner and outfield stuff or whatnot. So Garcia is not going to be a play for me.
Yeah, Matt, we're pretty spot on. Before I give my take on Michael Garcia, then we get in a couple of pitchers. I do have to talk to you about one of today's sponsors. And guys, we are back with Bird Dogs. Today's episode is sponsored by the clothing company Bird Dogs. Looking for clothes that redefine comfort and style? Look no further than Bird Dogs. Bird Dogs makes you look good in Bird Dogs stretch khaki shorts that are designed to fit slimmer through the thigh and leg, giving you a truly sculpted look. They fit way better than regular shorts that are made of a stiff, restricting cotton. Bird Dogs fixed this issue by inventing Cloud Knit fabric that looks just like khaki but stretches so it gives you a way slimmer fit without having to sacrifice any movement. Bird Dogs uses anti-stink sweat wicking fabric that keeps you cool and dry all day long. Bird Dogs shorts do the exact same thing as Lululemon, but they fit way better. Bird Dogs has sent Matt and I some more gear, and their new water bottles are absolutely fantastic as well. So if you want to be like us, you go to birddogs.com/lockedonmlb, and when you enter the promo code LockedOnMLB, Bird Dogs will throw in a free water bottle with your order. Once again, that's birddogs.com/lockedonmlb for a free water bottle at checkout. You won't want to take your Bird Dogs off, we promise. All right, guys, so we are back here. Let me do my quick rant on Maikel Garcia, and then we'll keep things pushing. We'll get into, the pitching, and we got one other guy before we actually do pitching. But Garcia has upside. He'll probably be in the low to mid-20s in my third and shortstop rankings. Kind of a dart throw where if you need some batting average on some steals at either of those positions, or as Matt mentioned, if you play in a league that has middle or corner infield, definitely could throw a dart Garcia's way. The thing I like about Garcia is that I really, really love that he hit leadoff for most of his time there with the team. And when you're hitting behind a Bobby Witt, a Vinny P, a Perez, a Melendez, guys that really can just drive you in, the runs are going to be good. As Matt mentioned, he's really been a solid batting average guy his whole minor league career. And in the minors the last couple of years, 2021 for Garcia, 35 steals in 104 games. And then in 2022 for Maikel Garcia in the minors, 39 steals in 118 games. So I just really, really like the speed upside. I like the batting average potential. And I really like the sneaky runs potential. Even in that 2022 minor league season, 104 runs for Maikel Garcia. Just might be a guy that, maybe we're dropping him and picking him up a little bit next year. Maybe he finds that nice, comfortable spot, at the top of that lineup is just great for him with the runs and the steals. Just this upside. I just want you to know when you hear the name Maikel Garcia, I think I was talking about it in the Oakland episode yesterday. There's just know the names, because then you know the upside. You know what you're looking for. Like if they get hot, you're like, okay, let me grab this guy and see where it goes. Kind of juice the orange situation. And sometimes that orange stays juicy, for a lot longer than you'd expect. But let's keep things pushing over here. Let's talk about Michael Massey. Michael Massey had some prospect pedigree coming up through the minors. There was a really people were talking about him. He's 25 years old. No, I always feel like we run into so many lefties. I feel like being a lefty isn't like a niche thing anymore. 6 foot 195 for Massey. Didn't really live up to the hype this year. I'm going to go out on a limb and say that. 129 games, 428 at-bats, 42 runs, 18 doubles, a triple, 15 homers, 55 RBIs, 6 steals, and a 229 batting average for Massey. There's a little bit of upside here in Massey. He's probably a guy, as I'm going to use Matt saying, I'm not touching him with a 10-foot pole, to be honest with you. I don't even know where I'd have him at my second baseman rankings. Probably a lot lower than Garcia, to be honest with you. He's got some speed. He's got some pop. He had a good minor league season in 2022 with 87 games. He had 16 homers, 13 steals, hit 312. Just somebody I got to see. I got to see that flash in the majors. I just have to see it, and haven't really seen too much of that yet from the young Massey.
Yeah, I'm going to be honest. I don't think we're going to see it. Sorry, Mass. But I think he's just going to be one of those dudes. He's just going to be,
They don't all pan out. All the prospects don't always pan out.
Right. But also, too, he wasn't like a super high one. So, I mean, it's not like, you gambled in dynasty leagues, for instance, where Massey actually held a lot of value, or, you even knew who his name was probably. So, I mean, it is what it is. But, when I saw his stats, I reviewed him preseason. I was like, oh, this kid could be interesting. And he turned out to be, boring than watching paint dry. So,
Sheesh. Matt's got the haterade out again.
I do.
That's back-to-back episodes. I think it's making a little comeback for the offseason.
You know what? This is the best time though.
Yeah. Oh no, you're spot on.
You know, I love the hater. I should just get this sticker for the cup because it's
I think you should. I think I might have to get it for you.
yeah, because I mean haterade is a thing. But anyway, let's move on before I just make this kid cry. Let's talk about Cole Reagans. Honestly, a darling for the waiver wires this year.
Yes. Yes.
Reagans actually did a lot better than I thought. So this is the scary thing, right? He had a great season. If you look at his numbers overall, you're like, oh, he had a really good season. No, let me tell you how good he really did, though. So when he got traded from the Rangers over to the Royals, his FIP went from a 527 on the Rangers to a 249, which, if you guys don't know what FIP is field independent pitching, which is pretty much a predictor of if you had an average defense on behind you, what you would actually be pitching. And that FIP is really nice. It's a really nice predictive stat of how well he was pitching. And through 71 innings, solid numbers in total, right? 89 strikeouts, so over a K per nine. And I mean, he had a 2.64 ERA from joining the Kansas City Royals. Like quite honestly, like his stats with the Rangers were super inflated in general, which killed his overall stats. He had a really good underlying season. Now, here's the downside of Cole Reagans too. His last month wasn't great. He had 30 innings, 33 strikeouts with a 3.90 ERA. Now, here's the thing too. He was also getting close to his season high in innings. So, the season before between majors and minors, he had 134. This year, he's hitting 126. So it was like getting around that. So he's probably getting a little fatigued. I feel like this year, Kansas City's going to do him right. He's probably going to be their ace. And they're probably going to, get him right, get him endurance training so he can last a lot longer. Cole Reagans, I think, is going to be another sneaky pick, a name that we're all writing down now that is going to be something we're going to be talking about all offseason. And he's probably going to be somebody that's going to be on that breakout list, that low-key sleeper list. You're going to be able to draft at 6 or 7 or 8 that people are going to forget about. Honestly, a lot of people in casual leagues are going to forget about him. Not you and I, and probably anybody that listens to this podcast. And he's going to go completely under the rug, and you're going to be able to get this dude pretty well because you're not drafting him as your 5 pitcher. Am I not right, Dom?
I've heard a lot of hype from around other, I will admit I do listen to, I'm not the only, I don't just listen to myself. I listen to a lot of other podcasts and experts and stuff like that. And he's just a name, Cole Reagans, that has just been hyped up so much. I've heard top 20 starting pitcher from certain places. I don't have him ranked there.
Oh, that he's going to be on my bus list.
I have Reagans at 29 at the moment, and that's still without me fine-tuning everything. I'm just going to say this. I'm going to say that the Rangers got a steal with a guy like Cole Reagans. They were so
the Royals.
Oh yeah, no, the Rangers. The Rangers is the team that he came from. The Royals got a steal from the Rangers in Cole Reagans. The Rangers were so focused on DeGrom and, I guess Dane Dunning that, from what I was told, there wasn't a lot of focus put into Cole Reagans' training. So the Royals saw something there. They took advantage, and he jumped up from last year averaging 92 on his fastball to averaging 97 on his fastball, which was even higher when he went over to the Royals. The kid tops out at over 100. The changeup is a pretty good pitch. I would like to see Reagans either develop that cutter or that curveball to kind of mix in a third pitch. But, I think he's the kind of guy who does that. If you guys are familiar with Tread Athletics, they're a very, very good training facility that a lot of pitchers go to in the offseason. And Reagans did it last offseason. I wouldn't be surprised if he went there again and just got even more help on, how to elevate that velocity and just even more tips of the trade. Honestly, very, very enticing pick for next year, because my philosophy is when a guy makes a change, when there's something different and you're seeing better results, okay. If you just start seeing better results and the player did not change anything, that's kind of where, okay, you're not going to buy into that. But when you're buying into all of the changes that Reagans made himself, and then Kansas City jumped in and helped him make even more changes for the positive, Matt, I'm not sure if you read all of his stats with just the Royals. Even if he did, I'm going to do it again. 5 wins, 2 losses with the Royals, 2.64 ERA, 12 starts, 71 innings, 89 strikeouts, and a 107 whip. I love it all. There's not, and the FIP, fielding independent pitching, was a 249 for Reagans. A lot to love. Will I take him as in my SP2 next year? Absolutely not. When you're getting into that like 3-4 range, depends on the value. It depends on where he is. I got guys like Kirby around him, Eflin, Nestor Cortez is a sneaky one. Senga, I'll probably take all of them over Reagans, but it's to be determined, honestly, where this thing winds up for him, because I have heard people talk him up top 20 starting pitcher, and I've seen it the other way. As my brother Matt saying that maybe we can get him a little bit later next year. But am I going to pay up for Cole Reagans in the top 20 when I could wait and get myself a Bybee a little bit later, a Gavin Williams, maybe a Tristan McKenzie, a Bailey Ober? It's starting pitching is going to be very, very tough next year, and I'm kind of looking forward to when Matt and I do our starting pitcher ranking episode, which is going to be it's always a fun one.
Yeah,
Matt, I told you too long.
Yeah,
you can leave it out.
I'm going to throw this last in quick because we don't have much time.
Yeah, go ahead.
Ultimately, where I'm looking at Cole Reagans is I really do feel that the regular fantasy community is going to forget about him. Now, yes, if everybody's hyping him up and he's probably going to be super inflated, he's going to be on my bust list just based off of the fact that, I'm going to have him ranked probably top 40 pitcher, right? Now, you look at that, and he's what, your 5th pitcher now that you've talked me up already before I even touched my rankings. So, but I'd really prefer to have him as my 5th starter. I'm going to be honest.
Yeah, that'd be ideal.
But I'm not going to have him as my 3rd pitcher. You're telling me? Like, that's obscene. Like, that's where you make the guy a bust. So ultimately, or the potential to bust. So ultimately, Reagans could be really good. We'll see. He could be the next Shane Bieber, is how people are approaching this right now, is how I'm taking it. I tuned out of everybody else, so I stopped listening to hear the hype. So ultimately, Cole Reagans to be determined. I guess what I said earlier for the ladder of value is unknown for me. We shall see when I actually do my rankings. But Dom, let's get out of here.
Yeah, guys, that's all for us. Please be sure to like, subscribe, comment, rate, and review. Also, thank you to our everydayers and new listeners for making Locked On Fantasy Baseball your first listen each and every day. We will be back tomorrow with another team to be determined. But guys, until then, see you.
Peace.